Hare Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 2, The Science of the Soul or Contents of the Gita summarized. A great Acharya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, has summarized this second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as being the contents of the whole text. In the Bhagavad Gita, the main subject matters are Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. In this second chapter, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga have been clearly discussed, and a glimpse of Bhakti Yoga has also been given as the contents for the complete text of the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna submits to Lord Krishna as his disciple, and Krishna begins his teachings to Arjuna by explaining the fundamental distinction between the temporary material body and the eternal spiritual soul. So, the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita contains 72 verses and can be broadly divided into four major sections. The first section, wherein Arjuna surrenders to Lord Krishna as his disciple. The second section, the explanation of Sankhya Yoga or the science of the soul. The third, Buddhi Yoga or selfless service to the Supreme Lord. And the fourth, the characteristics of STHITA PRAJNA or a self-realized person. Section 1 of the second chapter is from text 1 to 10, wherein Arjuna submits to Lord Krishna as his disciple and seeks his guidance. When Arjuna was thus completely overwhelmed with grief, lamentation, and compassion, Lord Krishna first exhorted him to become free from such weakness of heart and arise to fight. But Arjuna responded that he was completely bewildered and confused about his course of duty. The turning point is mentioned in text 7. Karpanyadoshopahatasvabhavaha pritchami tvam dharma sammudhachetaha yachreyasyan brūhi tanme shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. Arjuna says, Tvam prapannam. Krishna, now I am surrendered to you. Shishyasteham, I am now your disciple, and Shadhimam, please instruct me. So, Krishna now begins his most important instructions. Actually, everyone in this material world is bound to be pushed to the final limits of despair, confusion, and grief. The one and only way to rise above the clouds of misery and despondency are these instructions given by the Supreme Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Section 2 of the second chapter is from text 11 to 38, wherein Lord Krishna explains the Sankhya Yoga. This can again be divided into two parts. Text 11 to 30 is the perfect description of the science of the soul or Atma. And text 31 to 38 is the description of Sankhya Yoga in terms of occupational duties. Text 11 to 30 is in fact the most perfect explanation of the science of the soul or Atma. The soul or Atma is actually the real identity of every living entity. The root cause of all miseries and suffering in this world is the false understanding of one's self to be the body. And the solution is to correctly understand and realize one's identity to be the eternal soul. In Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, text 11 to 30, the Supreme Lord Krishna has given the most comprehensive and precise description of the soul along with its nature and characteristics. There was never a time in the past when the soul, Atma, did not exist, nor would there be any time in the future when it would cease to exist. The soul is eternal and indestructible. In text 20, Lord Krishna has very beautifully summarized the characteristics of the soul as न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. The soul न जायते never takes birth, न म्रियते वा nor can die at any time. Kadachin Nayam Bhutva Bhavita Vana Bhuyaha. The soul never comes into being, has never come into being, or in the future will never come into being. The soul is Ajaha, unborn, Nityaha, eternal, Shashvataha, ever existing, Puranaha, and primeval. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The soul is not killed when the body dies. But in our present condition, everyone is under the greatest illusion and ignorance, and the whole world is going around in the false conception of the body as the self. All identities like man, woman, black, white, Hindu, Muslim, Indian, American, cat, or dog are completely false. All identities ascribed to the body in terms of gender, race, religion, nationality, or even species are not real. What then is the relationship of the body with one's soul? Bhagavad Gita 2.22, Lord Krishna explains Vasamsi jignani yatha vihaya navani grihnati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jignani anyani samyati navani dehi. The body is just like the cloth or garment that one may wear. The cloth is only the external covering, and likewise the body is also the external covering for the real self Atma. Or just like a driver and a vehicle. One may have any fancy car which can move in many wonderful ways, but unless the driver activates the machine, it cannot move even the slightest bit. The vehicle is comparable to the body and the soul to the driver. Another example can be of a residence and the dweller. If a person suppose resides in house number 18, we don't identify him or her as Mr. or Miss number 18 or a bird inside a cage. The cage is like the body and the bird inside the cage represents the soul. The most happy and good news that Lord Krishna repeatedly tells us in this section is that the soul, our real identity, is actually eternal and can never be destroyed. If we come into existence at birth and are completely finished at the time of death, our existentiality is in no way better than a bubble that rises from water, stays for some time, and then bursts and is finished. Krishna then explains the indestructibility of the soul from any cause. In text 23, Krishna says, Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayanti apo, na shoshayati marutaha. The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. Even a nuclear bomb cannot kill the soul. No virus can destroy the soul, not even the coronavirus. Understanding the eternality of the soul, Lord Krishna repeatedly says that there is no reason for grief or lamentation for death. Nainam shochitumarhati. Which happens, the death happens only to the body. Sometimes people differentiate between the human soul and the soul in other creatures. But in fact, in verse 30, Lord Krishna has declared Dehi nityam avadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitumarhasi. The soul in all living entities is eternal. Further, from text 31 to 38, Lord Krishna explains the path of Sankhya Yoga in terms of Arjuna's occupational duty as a Kshatriya. In Sanskrit, Kshat means harm and Kshatriya means one who protects from harm. Considering Arjuna's specific duty as a Kshatriya, it was his best engagement to fight for religious principles. If he abandoned his duty now, he would definitely incur great infamy as well as all the warriors would ridicule Arjuna that he ran away from the battlefield out of fear. Such infamy is worse than even death. Therefore, Krishna urged Arjuna to stand and fight as a matter of duty without consideration of the result. Section 3 of the second chapter from text 39 to 53 is the elucidation of Buddhi-yoga or selfless service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. In verse 39, Lord Krishna says, Esha te bhihita sankhye buddhir yoge tvimam shrunu buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. That he would now explain the path of Buddhi Yoga by which one can free from all bondage arising from any action. This Buddhi Yoga is also specifically mentioned in Bhagavad Gita later in chapter 10, text number 10, as the loving devotional service to Lord Krishna. Such actions in devotional service surpass the three gunas and all the Vedic teachings. In text 47, Lord Krishna says, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhur ma te sangostva karmani. We have a right to perform our prescribed duty. Karmani eva adhikaraste. But Krishna says, Ma phaleshu kadachana. We are not entitled to the fruits of action. Ma karma phalahetu bhu. Because we are not the cause of the result of the activities that we perform. But this does not mean Mate sangostu akarmani. Krishna says we should never be attached to not doing our duty. When one acts in such consciousness of selfless service and dedicates the results of all one's activities to the Supreme Lord Krishna, one is gradually elevated to the stage of realizing the Atma, comes to the stage of self-realization. In section 4 of the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, from text 54 to 72, is the depiction of the characteristics of a sthita prajna, a self-realized person. In text 54, Arjuna inquires, Arjuna uvacha sthita pragnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya keshava sthitadhi kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajeta kim. Krishna has so far explained the characteristics of the real identity of every living entity, Atma or soul. But what are the symptoms of a person who has realized his self? He has also earlier explained the path of Buddhi-yoga by which one can attain realization of the self. But what are the symptoms of such a person? Sthitadhi kim prabhasheta. How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit? Or how does he walk? Just like there are symptoms of a deceased person, there should be symptoms of a self realized person by which he can be identified. In reply, Krishna then elaborately explains the various characteristics of Sthita Prajna, a self realized person. The first characteristic is that a self realized person is completely free from all material desires, undisturbed in happiness or distress, and free from all fear and anger. He keeps all his senses under firm control. Everyone in the material world is actually dictated by the urges of the senses, under the wrong notion that sense enjoyment is the only means to attain happiness. But actually, the path of gratifying the senses leads to complete fall down in the material whirlpool. This is very nicely explained in text 62 and 63. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषुपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. While contemplating the objects of the senses, dhyayato vishayan pumsaha, a person develops deep attachment to them, sangasteshu upajayate, and from such attachment lust develops, and from lust anger arises. From anger there is complete delusion, and from delusion there is bewilderment of memory, and when memory is bewildered intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, Krishna says, Buddhinashat pranashyati. One again falls down into the material whirlpool. Therefore, the path of sense gratification leads to gradual downfall, whereas the path of controlling the senses by regulative principles of Buddhi Yoga or devotional service elevates one gradually to complete freedom from all miseries, then to fixed intelligence, and then to total peace, and finally to infinite bliss and happiness. Thus, one who has given up all desires for sense gratification is free from false ego, ahankara, is elevated to the transcendental stage of fixed consciousness, and being so situated, even at the time of death, one can achieve the highest perfection of entering the eternal kingdom of God. Brahmi sthiti leads to Brahma nirvana muchyate. Thus, in the second chapter, Lord Krishna explains the signs of the soul, the means of realizing the soul by Buddhi Yoga, and also the characteristics of such a self realized person and his final destination. Hare Krishna.